Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. My name is JC. If you haven't seen my face before, today's video, we're back with another monthly wrap-up. So today's video is my July reading wrap-up and August TBR, but you guys know the drill. It's not just a sit-down wrap-up video. I take you guys along with me, all of the prep that goes into a reading wrap-up. So I just made my matcha. I need to get ready for the day, and then we need to make sure all the things are up to date, like my Goodreads, my reading journal, and Notion. And then we sit down, we talk about the books that I read and all the books that I hope to read in August. Let's get ready.
Laid under the willow tree, the last weekend of summer, the empire at our fingertips, the autumn to discover.
Okay, I just finished getting ready and I just set myself up to do all of my computer work, at least on the balcony. So I think there is going to be some landscaping going on in the background. So I'll get B-roll for you guys for sure, but I hope I can like kind of talk with you guys a bit more as well. So I'm going to work on making sure my Goodreads is up to date. I think I've marked everything as read, but I don't know if I've rated everything yet. And I just want to make sure it also is all like counting towards my reads for 2024, so adding in the dates and everything if that's needed. And then I need to update Notion that I have not updated once this month, so that will be so fun to go through. So I'm going to work on those two things first and then go from there. Besties, I came out here, I set everything up, and then there was this like giant, you know those like giant iridescent like beetle things? I honestly think they probably don't harm humans, but I don't need that thing flying around me. And it was like charging at me, so I ran inside, hit my knee. There's gonna be a bruise later, but other than that, we're fine. We're back out here. I don't hear the buzzing anymore. God dang, I keep trying to get away these dang spider webs and they just keep coming. Okay, I'm going to not look too closely at the spider webs. It's back. Oh my god, I feel like you guys just saw like the live action of a horror movie where I was like, it's back, it's coming for me. Like, it's a bug. And like, I know that. I don't like flying objects. And this thing is like the size of a golf ball, no exaggeration. It's just those beetles that like literally do not think they harm humans. But I am not risking that thing just like running into me because it has no idea like where it's flying. I would cry. I think it's just one of them that's attracted towards the different plants around my building right now. Like I don't have anything on my balcony, but I feel like I just see this one flying back and forth around and I'm not going to feel good sitting on my balcony like that. So I think I'm going to take my stuff and I'm going to see if I can find another spot in the community that has different tables and stuff outside to work at. I was going to go to a coffee shop, honestly, but I don't want to spend the money. I have my matcha. I'm happy with my matcha, so I don't want to go spend money there just to go spend money when I definitely have options around me. So let me get my stuff. We'll find a new spot outside to do this. Okay, I feel like this is exactly what I meant. Like just finding a table, a spot that I could sit out, partly in the sun, partly in the shade. I can just whip out my computer. Honestly, perfect. So now no beetles. I mean, I see random flying objects, but that's okay. That beetle, it's just not an option. You're joking. I see it. I'm trying to enjoy nature. I am. Can you like just tell how like terrified I am of this thing? Okay, I just finished up doing all of my Goodreads stuff. So I had 3 books left that I needed to rate and review, which made sense because I finished a few books in the last couple of days that was like, okay, mark as read, think about what you want to actually rate them. So it's good to actually sit with that, think about what I wanted to like say, I guess, about the books. So I finished up with that and I was just like looking at my reads and I was like, I feel like I had such a variety this month. Like, even if they're, like, 3 thrillers, 5 romances, like, they're all different in kind of their subgenre, I guess. So, I don't know. It was just cool seeing all of them kind of, like, laid out. I think I read 14 books this month, if I'm adding this up right. So, I finished up all of that beetle has been kind of flying around. So, I'm, like, hearing random noises, and I'm like, oh, Are you back? Are we gonna get another horror scene? Anyways, I finished up with the reviews and I saved all of the like covers of all the books, and I'm gonna use those to now put them all into my Notion to fill out for my July reads. So, oh my god, I'm just hearing it. It's nearby. I know it. I hate this. Well, that's actually kind of a weird sound. What is that? I'm not gonna think too much about it. Okay, I'm gonna put all of these into my Notion. So I just put in the title, the cover, the author, what I rated it. I think it's just basic details. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. You guys, I sent my mom a text earlier today about the meme that's like how women, we just get these random bruises and we're like, literally, where did this come from? So I was like, Mom, you know that meme? Okay, except I totally know how I'm about to get this giant bruise on the side of my knee because I told her the story of me running away from the beetle thing on my balcony, and I like totally slammed my knee into the door frame, and like it was already getting red. I was like, okay, so I know where that bruise is coming from. I just went to turn on my camera and like slammed this part of my arm into my table where I'm like, that's gonna be another bruise. Like, it's just this meme of like I just have no idea what I could have done to get this. And then like if it was a movie, it would just be like a montage of all the things that person did to get the bruise, like running into doors, slamming their foot into the side of the like table, hitting their arm. Like, we just do all this stuff. And I'm like, that's 2 bruises today. I just know it's gonna happen. I'm like, that is so annoying. Okay, I finished up the Notion side of things. Sorry if you can hear like a weed eater in the background. I feel like, honestly, it's been quiet up until this point, so I love that for me. But I finished up the Notion stuff. Someone actually came to the pool area talking on the phone, like on speaker. Like, hi. Anyways, so I wasn't gonna stay out there and chat with you guys, so I came back home to do the reading journal side of things. But Notion side was real easy because I did all the hard work by putting it into Goodreads at least like 90% before today. So all I had to do was basically transfer that information there, and then I add in, I'm trying to think of like what other information. I add in the like, I don't know if media is the right word. Like, I try to document if it was like a library book, a physical copy, like from my own TBR. It was like an ARC or like an ebook, like something like that. Like, I just like to kind of document what I was reading from, so that way I could look and be like, oh, you read, 50 of your 80 books are from the library, kind of thing. I don't know, something like that. So that's the only thing outside of Goodreads that I also document on Notion. So that's done. I feel good about that. It didn't take that long. It's pretty easy to just transfer that information. And then now I have my reading journal that I have also not updated since I first made it. So this is my just like fun, simple July spread. So I just have the reading log to fill out, and then I'm like looking, I have basically some like overall pages in the beginning. Wow. Well, I hit my 75 mark, so I have one like square to fill out there, and then I have a reading log of all of the books I've read so far, which is crazy to think I'm going to run out of space on this. I'd have to create a second page. That will not be done today. I don't have the energy for that. And then I fill out like a physical library that looks just like a bookshelf. I love this one. So I can fill out this one today. And then I need to fill out my 2024 bracket of my top reads of the month. I didn't fill one out for June, so I need to look at that and pick one. And then obviously for this month. So okay, let's get started. Honestly, it won't take that long because I'm not doing absolutely everything. I'm going to fill out my July spread and then a couple of the like main yearly ones. Okay, I just finished filling out my reading log for July spread, and then I updated my library spread. So we have a new shelf that we've started, And then I filled out kind of most of this. I basically filled out to the point where I'm at the end, 82, and that's all I have room for. And I filled out the title and the rating, but I didn't do like the author or the dates yet. Guys, honestly, it's just laziness. I feel like there was one more that I updated. I had one square left to finish on my 2024 reading goals page, so I filled out my one square. And then now, like, I've hit that goal, so now I'm not doing anything. So in my weekly vlog, at some point, you guys will see me make a new spread for a reading log again, like an overall one, now that I've ran out of space. And then I'll have to make my August spread as well, so I'll have to figure that out. But I have officially updated everything I need to, and now I can prepare for the wrap up. Like, I can grab all the books that I have still with me for July's reads, and then grabbing the books that I want to read in August. Ask me how scared I am to sit on the edge of this bed, knowing I have 2 stacks of books behind me that will tumble. Yeah. Okay, let's like adjust this angle so we can see some books and we just have some personal space. Okay, let's get this started by talking about a couple of the stats that I like to look at the end of every month. So I read 14 books this month. One of those was a graphic novel that at this stage I don't rate. So I didn't include that in my average rating nor my like total page count for the month. So I had an average rating of 3.94, so practically a 4-star, which is just signed to such a good reading month. And then for the total page count, I read about 5,060 pages. I didn't keep track of it as well this month as I have previously, so I just went to Goodreads and picked the edition that I think I read and just tallied up all the pages that way. So roughly that page count. But I am so excited to talk about the books. A couple of them I'm nervous because I was like, wait, like I read that this month? So bear with me. I'm going to try my best to talk about these books, kind of give a glimpse into what they're about, but mainly focus on my thoughts and like why I rated it, what I rated it. The first book that I read this month was Coltish. I gave this 3.5 stars. It's actually a nonfiction book, and I found it on Libby. I don't know what it is about Colts, but they just fascinate me. I feel like any documentary out there, I'm watching it. So I saw this book that focuses on the different, I wouldn't say levels, but just the different ideas of a cult and how people use it in today's language. Like, we'll joke that Soul Cycle is a cult, and then we have like the religious cult and like how that word has evolved through time. It was so fascinating. Like, it was just a great book to listen to. It wasn't something that like had me feeling a lot or anything, but I was listening to it while I did work on my computer, and it was a good time. So I feel like if you like the true crime kind of things and you're just fascinated by it, this is definitely a book I recommend. Okay, I'm gonna try to slow down my talking because I feel like I'm just getting tongue-tied. My brain isn't functioning. My words just like aren't wording. So let's try this again. The next book that I read was This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This was my book club pick for July, so I have a full spoiler reading vlog over on Patreon for this, but this book pleasantly surprised me. I gave this book 4.25 stars. I haven't read anything by Carly Fortune before, so I was really nervous heading into it because I know her previous books, people didn't generally love them. So I will make a note. I don't think I'll go back and read those 2 books. I think I will give her books like a shot moving forward. I don't think the previous 2 books are for me. I feel like she probably just had a lot of growth in this one, and I'm excited to see her future work. So the premise of this, we have Lucy and Bridget that are BFFs. Literally, Lucy is about to be the flower person for Bridget's upcoming wedding. You know, like Lucy owns a like florist shop, so she's doing all the flowers for Bridget's wedding. A week before the wedding, Bridget like skedaddles, and I'm like, wait, what? She like goes back home to Prince Edward Island and calls Lucy like, Lucy, I need you BFF, like, let's just have a little quick getaway before the wedding. And Lucy's being such an amazing friend does that. So that's like present timeline, but we quickly get a flashback to 5 years ago or something, where Lucy first has a trip with Bridget to Prince Edward Island, and she ends up getting there before Bridget and meets a guy named Felix, has this like spark of chemistry, one night stand with him, then learns that Felix is Bridget's brother. Yeah, so, you know, it happens to the best of us, so they're like, oh, this can't happen. And then we see kind of this past present timeline of why the heck Bridget like spontaneously is like taking this vacation before her wedding, and then this like timeline build up of Lucy and Felix summer after summer. So it was very interesting. Felix, like, I fear he's my kind of guy. Like, I fear I would be someone that would fall for a guy like him and be like, girl, he literally doesn't live where you live. Why are you crushing so hard? That'd be me. So I highly recommend, if you have not liked Carly Fortune's previous books, I think you could enjoy this one. Or if you're me, like, I'm so nervous because not everyone's really loved her previous books, and then this one came out, give it a shot. And then I really dived into the world of Ashley Poston. I read a novel love story, which I ended up giving 4 stars. I want to say this immediately. When I reread this book, because I know I will, it will be higher than 4 stars. This was me diving into this book, not really understanding Ashley Poston as an author. I'd only read the 7-Year Slip prior to this, which, yes, it has the time travel element, but it didn't really have this like Twilight paranormal feel to it. So I didn't really understand that Ashley Poston always has a paranormal element to her books. So I jumped into this not knowing what it's about. I generally do try to go into books blind. Like when I read reviews and stuff, I just kind of focus on like, oh my god, I just love the atmosphere of this. I love the writing of this. Like the characters were fun. The world was fun. I try to avoid main plot points if I can. So I didn't know what this book was about. So it took me a hot minute to kind of get my bearings into this world. And I think if I just would have known the type of author she is and the type of story I was getting into, I would have been in it a lot quicker. Because once I was in it, girl, I was in it. So this book, we are following Elsie, who is a book lover. She's a fellow book lover. She's a part of our book club, you know what I mean? And she has this annual trip with other like book girlies, if you will. And every summer they would go up to this cabin and just like have a week of reading and girl time. But this summer they can't do it. So she decides that she's going to go up there alone, except on the drive up, she gets caught in a storm and ends up stuck in the town of her favorite book series. I'm sorry, like, every book girl's dream, you know what I mean? So when she's going through the town and she's recognizing like, oh, I know this person, like, oh, that's so-and-so, that's this character. She then finds the grumpy bookstore owner that she can't place. She's like, no, but who are you? So the whole book she's like trying to figure it out, but also like she needs to get back. Like she needs to go home. She needs to fix her car and get out. So it was such a fun story of her trying to like, I don't know, be a part of the characters that she like knows so much because she's read the whole series, but these characters don't know that they're characters in a story. And then she's like, literally, bookstore man, who are you? So it was so fun. And once I kind of understood this premise, I was like, oh my god, okay, I like this. And by the end, I was feeling so much. I was so giddy. I was just so excited. I was just loving every minute of it. So I know that when I give this a reread, it's going to be higher than 4 stars. It just took me so long to like not be like, literally, what am I reading? Like I was so confused for the longest time. Okay, and then I had a similar experience with my next one. I read The Love of My Afterlife. This book came out in July. I'd seen it, I think, a month or so ago on a random like upcoming new releases list, and I hadn't seen anyone talk about it, but the premise seemed so cool. And then it gets released, and a couple of the girls that I follow on Bookstagram read it and was like, no, you guys need to read it. I was like, okay, like I'm bumping it to the top of my list. But I entered this book thinking it was just a romance, like a fun, cool, kind of different romance. It is following Delphi, who literally page 1, homegirl's like heating up her frozen hamburger in the microwave, chokes and dies. Yeah, tough luck. So she goes to the afterlife where she's trying to have this conversation with her like afterlife therapist that is just so bubbly, and we're like, okay, queen, like I get that you're like settled here, but like I just died, so like let's calm down. And in the like waiting room, if you will, she runs into this guy that feels like it's her soulmate. And she's like, this is my soulmate, like we have this instant connection. And so the afterlife therapist sends Delphi on this 10-day quest, like, hey, you had this like 10-minute interaction with a guy that ended up not supposed to be here, so we kicked him back to like real life. He's not supposed to die yet. You have 10 days to find him. He has to kiss you, and you get to stay. So you have a 10-day journey ahead of you. So I thought this book was just like this romance story of her journey of that. But it ended up really focusing on the journey itself, which is like a kind of a cliche thing to say. But like, she just didn't have a lot going on in her life. She was very much a like recluse, like to herself, didn't have a bunch of friends, like or even really any friends, and like a community around her, wasn't just enjoying life for what it is. And this book is about that. It's, yes, this romance plot that's going on, but it's so much more. It's just about live life, like create a community, find people that you love, that love you back, and just like do things. And I love that premise. Once I understood that that's what it was about, and like it was so much more, I loved it so much. I was so confused by the romance in the beginning, and I was like, oh, okay. And then we also have this whole life thing. I love it. And so I think I will reread this as well in the future, and it will be higher than 4 stars because by the end, I loved this book so much. It just took me way too long to get into and like understand what the heck I was reading. This next book I don't have the physical copy of anymore because I got it from the library, but it is Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies. I gave this book 4 stars. I originally saw Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte over here on YouTube talk about this book. She's like, this was so fun. I had a great time. And I was like, wait, I'm kind of in the mood for that. Like just a fun, weird mystery. I don't know if I should say cozy mystery, but it was kind of a cozy mystery. Like it was definitely like lighthearted, even though there's like murder. But the premise is so cool. I listened to this as a hybrid, so I had the physical copy and I had the audiobook. And it's about, well, we have our main character that's an author, but essentially this group of authors go to Italy for a week, and also some fans join them. It's kind of like they won this trip to go to Italy for a week. Their favorite authors are going to be there. They're gonna do like different activities and stuff. So our main character, she's an author that is supposed to be writing, she wants to write her final book of a series that she's in, and it is literally, I think, a like cozy mystery type of series. But while they're on the trip, like she's wanting to kill off her main character that's based on someone real in her life because he's just like a jerk, and like people are dying in real life on this trip. Like one by one, people are just dropping like flies. Meanwhile, we see her having this like multimedia kind of element to the book where she's like taking notes on what she wants her next book to be, and like, or I say next, like the final book in that series to be, and like the ideas that she's having. So it was just so fun. I don't know how to describe it. It was not this thriller book. It was definitely a like lighthearted murder mystery set in Italy, so that's fun. I don't know, I don't want to say too much more about it other than that. I just had a fun time reading it. I feel like it gave off the fun vibes, and the way it ended, we're getting our next book, and I am sat ready with my popcorn. Like I am so ready for that next book because I just know it'll be so fun. Like by the end, I was just like, wow, like I'm having such a fun time. Like I wouldn't be mad if this had 200 more pages of just nonsense. So that's where I was at, which is kind of a cozy, simple summer murder mystery. It's a lot of adjectives, but I feel like if that's your vibe, definitely check that one out. I can't believe I read that book and then went through absolute hell. So next book I read, Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. This is book 3 in the Magnolia Parks universe. 5 stars. I mean, you guys, like if you watched my weekly vlogs, I think there was technically 2 of reading this. I went through it. Everyone that saw me read this book like in person was like, is she okay? And I'm like, well, no, but like this is the best pain. Like I honestly can't explain what it is about Magnolia and BJ. Well, I mean, I kind of explain it in my weekly vlog, but you know, we're not going to talk about that here. That's kind of like my weekly vlogs. I feel like I talk to them as if they won't, like I talk to the camera as if it won't go on the internet. This, I'm like very aware it's going on the internet. So I'm not going to divulge my thoughts too much on that, but it's definitely in the weekly vlog if you want to check it out. I have my ways of connecting to them, and I think I just feel for them so much. And I will say, I gave Daisy Hates 4.5 stars. Like by the end, I was definitely liking it a lot more. I think seeing Julian a part of this book has me very excited to read the next Daisy Hates book, because we get Daisy and Christian's POVs, but we also get sprinkles of Julian, and I'm excited to see those POVs based on his like role, I guess, in this book. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested in this series, you are or you aren't. It's your thing or it's not. I feel like we all know UK Gossip Girl on steroids, I guess, because literally what's in this book. God, I loved it so much. Like, I just loved it so much. Page 1. You guys, I was reading Daisy Hates and like giggling, freaking out. My heart rate was like spiked the moment they said like Magnolia and BJ. Like, absolutely embarrassing. The next book I picked up was also from the library, so I no longer have the physical copy, but I dove back into Ashley Poston. Now that I have a better understanding of what I'm going to get from her, I picked up The Dead Romantics. I read this in one sitting, 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it so much. I'm going to try to talk about this book in a way that makes sense and not just like, I don't know, talk about the entire plot line. But our main female character, her family works at, is it a like her dad's a mortician? You know, it's the like place, like that home is a place that you bring the dead people so they can make them pretty before the funeral. You know what I mean? Okay, so her family's kind of a part of that. She ended up going this author, writing, editor route. So she is a ghostwriter for a famous author, and she, in like the first chapter, is getting introduced to the new editor at the publishing house. And so within 24 hours, this girl meets him. He's hot. They like vibe, but not really. Her dad passes away. She needs to go home and like deal with that. But this whole paranormal element of it is that she can see and talk with dead people. Like she has her whole life. And I really like the element they talk about it in this way of like, sometimes they just need someone to listen to their story and then they can like pass on peacefully. So her job really, she felt as a kid, was just like, just to listen to them, like just let them tell their story, and then like they pass on peacefully after that and like carry on with the afterlife. And I don't know, I just thought it was so beautiful and so like selfless of someone that has that gift and they're using it like to just be a listener. And so when she goes to visit her home to like now prep for the dad's funeral and like figure out kind of the next step of the family business, her editor shows up dead and she's seeing him and she's like, what? So the entire story is her having to prep and figure out her dad's like funeral and like what the next steps are for the family, while also figuring out what happened. I literally saw this man 24 hours ago and he was alive and fine. And so it was such a beautiful story. I loved it so much. I felt like reading that and The Love of My Afterlife this month was just like, I loved it. It was like same but different. You know what I mean? So if you liked The Dead Romantics, definitely check out The Love of My Afterlife and vice versa. Okay, the next couple books, I got back into my listening to an audiobook while working grind. I feel like I talk about this often, but in case you haven't heard me say it before, I love listening to kind of mystery thrillers, something that just feels like a documentary while I'm doing computer work at my job. So the book I chose for that was Pink Glass Houses. I had access to this through Libro FM's ALC program. I don't think I would have picked this up on my own, but just having access to it, I was like, let's just give it a shot. You guys, I don't care about reality TV. Wait, did I say what I rated it? Hold on. 3.5 stars. Okay, carry on. I don't really care about reality TV, but yeah, I watched someone on YouTube that he like does different recaps. He watches it, he gives his opinion on it, and like I am like sat and glued. I just love listening to him talk, so like I get this like secondhand reality show, I don't know, recap, I guess. And this book was that. It was literally elementary school PTA moms in Miami. Like, I guess this book would be like drama, literary fiction. Like, this book was wild. I was just like, this is screaming reality TV. Like, if you like Housewives, you like reality TV show dramas, give this book a listen. I feel like I really like the cast of it. It's a bunch of women. You get the multiple POVs, but like, I feel like the women casted have enough of a difference in their voices that I could tell we were switching characters. So I really liked it. I totally recommend it as just like a book to listen to. I don't know, I really felt like I was just listening to a TV show in the background. So that's really all. It was literally just them living their lives and having the drama of housewife type stuff. It was great. This next one I actually just listened to, and it is Listen for the Lie. Now, guys, I gave this book 3 stars, and I really think it's a me problem because I think I really needed to at least do a hybrid read. I heard the audiobook was amazing, which I really enjoyed, but I think I needed to be also reading it physically to really immerse myself in the story a bit better. So don't make my mistake. I don't know. Maybe some people just listened to the audiobook and were fine. I think I really needed to sit down and also be reading it physically because I was just multitasking. I was doing my computer work and I was just so out of the story. Like, I really couldn't tell you much about it. Okay, yeah, so we have these 2 girls. They were best friends. One gets murdered. Lucy, is it Lucy? Yeah, Lucy's the one that like can't remember that night, and everyone thinks that she killed her best friend, but there's like no actual proof of it. A few years later, there's now this podcaster that is kind of reinvestigating the case and wants to find out the truth. So we have the podcast multimedia of him coming into town, doing these various interviews, and like slowly unraveling the truth about what happened that night. Honestly, the premise is interesting. I think the audiobook would be interesting a second time around while reading it physically because I just don't remember a lot of it. I think multitasking and just having the audio really just like put a ding on my experience. So like 3 stars is still good. Like, it's not like I hated it, but I just didn't have much thought. It was just kind of something that kept me like, I don't know, kept my mind active while I was doing other stuff. The next book I picked up was Reckless. I gave this book 3.75 stars. Which just kind of hurts me, honestly, to say. We know that I loved Powerless. I gave it 5 stars. The issues people had with it, I just don't see, if I'm being honest. I could go through a whole rant. If you want to talk with me about it on the side, like, I am so passionate about this. It's kind of embarrassing. But I was very excited about this book. What did my review say? Because I feel like my review probably nailed it. I think a lot of my review was like, I feel so bad doing this. So there were so many parts of this book that I loved. Like, a lot of the conversations, a lot of just like the events that were happening. But then there were plenty of moments that I was just kind of like bored, or I was just like, why is this happening? Like, what's going on? Like, where is this going to be progressing? So overall, I love the plot line of this, like the concept of it. After book 1 ending, like, I really enjoyed how it was playing out. And like I said, I like the journey of the after, like, I love their journey after the events of the first book and like the different reveals that happened and how they happened, when they happened. Like, I thought there was no like cringiness in that or just like annoyance in that. If you know about just like the different events of book 1, then it's like, okay, I liked how things were talked about and discussed in book 2. I thought it was well timed, yeah. But the ending, honestly, I feel like that ending docked it a lot for me. Like, I just didn't like it. I thought it didn't make sense. I was like, okay, well, this is like not realistic. Like, okay, say not realistic, like this whole book, you know what I mean? But like, I was just like, what is this? It just seemed so out of I was saying right field and left field, so I said left field. Anyways, like, it just didn't make sense to me. It felt very like unnatural, and like I didn't care. It was just like, oh, I didn't expect that. But like, why? Okay. So that was kind of disappointing. I feel like I did see a lot of people, now that like I reflect on it, being like, oh my god, the ending, that was crazy. I'm like, I literally had 0 feelings about it. Beyond like, what? Why? So I would love to hear people's thoughts. Like, don't put any spoilers in the comment section, or feel free to just like message me on Instagram or something if you want to talk about it. But like, what are people's thoughts that have read this? Like, I need to know. Holy smokes, the next one I read, I did it. When the Moon Hatched. This book is just huge. It's like 700 pages. I gave this book 4.25? Yeah, 4.25 stars. I have to say, I was lucky enough that Libby's audiobook came to me at the same time my library gave me the physical copy. Like, I think I needed that. I think if I just had the audiobook, you guys remember several weeks ago, I got the audiobook, I tried listening to it, my brain could not understand anything, like I couldn't get into the story. I DNF'd it pretty, like a soft DNF, pretty quickly. I was like, okay, no, I definitely need the physical copy. I think if I just read the physical copy, for me, I would have read this so much slower, definitely would not have finished it. Like, I read this in like 2 days. 2 days I was sat. The audiobook, I don't know how to best describe it. The audiobook helped me to like keep moving forward, because something that was like advised to me was like, for the prologue, girl, read the prologue, but don't try to understand it. And I'm like, cool. Honestly, for me, most fantasy books, I'm just there for the vibes, but I do like to have a general understanding of the world and like what I'm getting into. But if I don't understand absolutely everything, that doesn't bother me. But this, I was like, okay, there's just like a lot of characters, a lot of things. I opened this up to a 20-page glossary, and I was like, this is terrifying to start. But I will say the glossary, huge. I think having a physical book helped me so much, because as I was like listening to it and they'd be like, oh, like this character, I'm like, wait, who is that character again? And then I'd look like, oh, it's so-and-so's brother. Okay. And like, I love that. You also get these terms of like the creatures. So when things are just referenced in here, you're like, wait, what's the moon plume thing again? You know, like, I really liked having the glossary, and I thought it was very easy to just like flip back and forth. But the audiobook just kept me moving forward, and I didn't have to like think about, wait, how do you pronounce that? And then I'm like spending 3 minutes trying to figure out the pronunciation and like rereading the paragraph over and over. You know what I mean? So I really liked that part of it, and why I think you do need both. At least for me, if you're intimidated by it, you're like, girl, no way in hell am I getting through that on my own. Have both. It will be a miracle, and we'll get through it together at that point, you know what I mean? But I like the premise of this from what I understand. Like, as I continued reading and like understanding more and more, I'm like, wait, this is really cool. What's our main female character's name? Rave. Okay, we have Rave as our main female character, and then Khan as our main male character. Now, keep in mind, I'd say 85% of the POVs we get is Rave, and we get sprinkled in Khan and another character or two. So the premise is we have the creators. Think of it as gods. Think of it like what is it? Greek mythology, you know, like a bunch of the gods out there. We, you know, have a lot of religions having like one god that created the world. Like, creators are pretty much that, and the creators are like, let's just say 7 people. I don't know how many. And they all have like their things, like Poseidon, water, you know, Zeus, like the lightning and stuff. Like, same concept here. They created the earth. Something about dragons are involved, and like these dragons are like now up in the sky as moons. So that's pretty cool. And so when the moon hatched is the thing of like, these dragons are the moons in this world, and like a dragon hatched, dropped, all the things. That's like, literally, don't ask me more than that. So Khan took the head of the king and donned his melted crown. So he's like someone important. He's a king, you know, and one of the things. And then she is essentially an assassin for like a rebellion group. Yeah. So those two cross paths, and it's now like their story. Don't ask me to like really make sense of this book. I'm talking about it in a way that just helps you have a vague concept, very vague. But like, don't ask me to think more about it, because there's no way of like shortening how to discuss this book, like without just being like, here are all the events that happened and that's what I understand. So that's the concept-ish. I hope that like helped anyone. Honestly, what the heck? How do you talk about this book? Like, please tell me if you read this. How do you give like a synopsis to someone? I really enjoyed this though, and I'm very excited for book 2. And I can't recommend having audio and physical book, like both, to do this enough. Okay guys, take 2 of trying to explain this book, because what did I just talk about? The next book I read was The Villa. I actually had the audiobook of this, and I went to the library a couple days ago, saw the physical book there, and I was like, okay, well, why not just be able to read it physically alongside the audiobook? So I read this in one sitting. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun summer, like, I say fun, it's a murder mystery, but like, it gave the summery vibes. It's about this villa in Italy, and you have these 2 timelines. You have a past and present. The past one is about this tragic story of an author and a couple musicians, her stepsister, all at the villa for like a few weeks, and a tragic event happens there, And so you're learning about that in the past timeline. You're really getting that main author's like POV. And then in present timeline, you have these two female authors that are BFFs, although one of them like hates the other. Anyways, you have them at the villa for the summer, but they know it's like a murder house. They know what happened, but while they're there, they're like uncovering, I guess, more details about it. They're trying to figure it out. Like they're interested in the story. And so it's cool having not just like, oh, these two people are just like happen to be there for the summer, and we also get this past timeline of like that same house, you know, 50 years ago. No, it's like they're interested in the house and like what happened 50 years ago. Like it's not why they went there, but after like going like and being there, they like know like, oh, this is the house that this happened, like, and they're learning more. And like I don't know, like the concept of that was so cool. And like the ending, y'all, what was that? I had to Google things. I was like, what? Wait a minute, I feel like I'm missing something. And then I Googled it and everyone else was like, oh, thank God, I thought I was missing something. No, it's one of those endings that's kind of like ambiguous in a way, like what really happened. Like, if you like a book like that, where it's like kind of that unreliable narrator in a way for part of it, like, I say part of it because it's only like the one timeline that I'm talking about. So, that's all I'm going to say. Has like the summer vibes as far as like being in Italy in the summer, but it's like very cool. Like, the concept of it is so interesting to me. The last book that I read this month was One Dark Window, which I actually finished this morning. You guys, I got about 25% into this book. I got the physical copy of it, I don't know, last month. And I was like, now's not the time. Like, I'm not interested in this book. And then I got the audiobook. Like, I put a hold on these things, you know, many months in advance. So I got the audiobook and I was like, okay, I'm like kind of interested. So I started it. I got to the 25% mark and I was like, okay, I feel like I would really like this story if I just focused on it. If I have an audiobook only, like, I've got to be doing something else. I can't just sit on my couch, stare at a wall, and listen to an audiobook. So I think with this one, I was realizing like, okay, wait, I'm interested in this, but I'm always having to multitask. So I'm not really getting into the story and immersing myself into this world. So I went and I got the physical copy and I read the last 75% in like the last 24 hours, last 12 hours. Honestly, like I started it last night and I just kept going. I really like this. This is the first book in a duology. I think it's the Shepherd King duology. So One Dark Window and then Two Twisted Crowns. Y'all, this was good. Like, I mean, so many people loved it. I expected to like it. I gave it 4 stars. And I think it was just because of that first 25%. I was just like, literally, I'm not caring a lot, but I could see where I could if I just focused on it. So that's what, like, okay, 4 stars. I think, honestly, without that, it still would have been 4.25, maybe 4.5 at the most, but I think I could have gotten into it quicker, therefore cared quicker, liked it more, you know what I mean? I'm excited for book 2. The premise of this, I like the magical elements, okay? The premise is, what's her, Elspeth Spindle. Elspeth, that's her name. We're gonna call her Elle for the sake of my mouth and my sanity. So, in this world, there is a fever, and some people that catch this fever are considered infected, and they now have magic that like runs in their veins, and they have these abilities. Now the current king doesn't like that, but there are other ways to get magic in this world. There are these things called Providence cards that hold special abilities, you know. Maybe it's about being able to tell the truth from someone. Maybe it's about being able to keep track of your enemies, like, I don't know, different purposes. And so if you have these Providence cards, it's just a way for like the kingdom to be controlled in who and how magic is being used. So by having this infected fever all of a sudden gives someone the ability to do God knows what, the king's like, heck no, and like they want them, you know what I mean? So Elle has been hiding the fact that she did get magical abilities from her fever. Like, it's known she had a fever, but they're like, no, she didn't get any magical abilities. No, but she did. So she's been living the last 11 years with a nightmare in her head. And so she has this, like, voice in her head that's just dark nightmare. And now she is suddenly on this quest with a mysterious highwayman met on the forest road. It doesn't say his name in here, so I don't want to say it. But, like, him and a group of others are wanting to commit treason and essentially make the world right. Like, they're like, I literally don't think that people should be killed just because they have this infectious magic in them. Like, it's not. So I like the concept of magic in here, and I like that it's not considered good to have magic, but it's like a controlled magic is what the king likes, which like makes sense. Like, a king wants control or whatever. So like, I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting premise, and the way it ended, I'm like, wait a minute, where's book 2? So I put a hold for the audiobook, and so as soon as I get the audiobook, I'm gonna go get the physical copy of the next one. But like, this was so good. If you've been interested in it, I mean, it's not like it really gives fall vibes or winter vibes per se, but I think we all enjoy reading fantasy in the fall and winter, so I enjoyed it now. Pick it up when you want to pick it up, but I really like this, and I like that it's a duology. We don't have to dive into like an 11-book series. Like, you get 2 books and you're done. So hope I described that well enough without also spoiling much. I don't know. It gets confusing to talk about books sometimes. Oh my gosh, that is the end of my July reading wrap up. So next up, we're going to talk about the books that I want to read in August. Okay, no, but how do I even talk about these in a way that makes sense? I'm not really going to talk about the synopsis of these generally because I like to go in as blind as possible. I just list the books that I'm interested in August. I think a majority of these I really hope to get to, and then another part of me is just like, these are the books I'm pulling from in August. So okay, the first one I want to talk about is my book club pick for August. So we have Butcher and Blackbird. I want to do a bit more this month. I want to post like my thoughts and opinions after every chapter over on Discord, and then obviously I'll still be doing my like spoiler-filled reading vlog. So I'm excited to read this one. I know that there is a movie being made on it, which, hello, 2 serial killers finding love? Sign me up. Sign my true crime loving butt up. I'm very excited to get into this one. Okay, I had to switch to the battery, so I don't know if the angle's different. It probably is. Oh well. But next up, I want to talk about the library books I currently have checked out. So a couple days ago, I went to pick up a hold, which was The House in the Cerulean Sea. This was recently recommended to me by one of the people on Patreon, and so she said she loved it. She thought I'd really like it, so I remember putting a hold on it. It became available, so I picked it up, and while I was there, I was just browsing around, and I saw that the author, TJ Klune, also had Under the Whispering Door available. I remember seeing this at Target like several times and being interested by it, but like never doing anything more than just being like, oh, that looks interesting. So when I saw it at the library, I was like, okay, no harm, no foul. Let's check it out. So this is a new author I hope to read in August. And then I was browsing the YA fantasy section, and I saw this book that really intrigued me. It is a new book. It came out at the end of April, and it's To Kill a Shadow by Catherine Quinn. Like, it looks so stunning. And you guys, there's 3 words here. Very, very small. Guess what it says? Defy the Night. One thing about me, I love that trilogy. I love that trilogy so much by Bridget Kimmerer. So just seeing those words, I'm like, oh, say less. Say less. Sign me up. I actually just saw it when I was picking it up, so I kind of freaked out. It says, in a world of darkness, become the nightmare. Okay, slay. And then I picked up this book. So this is Anita DeMonte Laughs Last. And this is actually an in-person book club pick that I have for August. So I just saw it. It was at the library. I'd probably love to pick up the audiobook as well, but I don't know if I'll get a chance. I think there's a long hold on it. So when I saw the physical book out, I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And hopefully I can read that before it needs to go back to the library. Okay, and the last stack of books I want to talk about are all from my physical TBR that I'm interested in. So the first one is The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It came out yesterday. I love her so much. This is a highly anticipated release for me. I also was able to snag the audiobook from Libby. Like, what luck. So I'm very excited to get into this one. It will be read sooner than later. This is actually starting a new series for her because, what is it? The Inheritance Games. The next book that is like labeled for that comes out in November, and I think it's like The Untold Games or The Games Untold or something like that. But when you look up this, it says like The Grandest Game #1. And I'm like, oh, a new series. I'm so excited. And then, I mean, I have to continue it. I have to. I don't have a choice. So I want to continue the Magnolia Parks universe. This will be the 4th book, The Great Undoing. It's Daisy Hate's 2nd book, I guess. So it's, yeah, it's the 4th book in the series, but Daisy Hate's 2nd book, which I'm like, do I want to relive this? Yes, because I want to see Julian's POVs, but y'all, that book was wild. Okay. And then this was on my summer TBR. I feel like I have to read it before summer's over. So this is Stephen King's Fairy Tale. This is the book I said I wanted to be like my Stephen King summer book. Last year was Billy Summers, which I really enjoyed. And I think I'll really like this one. So I want to get to it this month. I'm nervous because I just like haven't been in the mood for it. But I think one of these days I'm just going to pick it up and I'm just going to binge it in like a couple days. I just know it. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. But I want to read Six of Crows. I plan to actually buddy read this with someone, so when we start it, we'll be starting it together, but not Crooked Kingdom, Six of Crows. Awkward. A book that I really thought I was going to read the day it came out, but I didn't. The X-Files. I just like didn't do it. So I want to read this for sure in August. I'm very excited for it. I think I'll really love it. But like, why haven't I read it already? And then I want to pick up A Letter to the Luminous Deep. I think this is gonna be like 4.5. Honestly, it has the 5-star potential. No one talks about this book, but the premise is so interesting to me, and it's like an underwater world. Like, I don't know, I love the ocean. I love like ocean documentaries. I love just like anything to do with the ocean, honestly. So I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy this one. And then just because I have to continue, I have volume 3 of Heartstopper, so for sure want to read this one, but we'll see if I just like continue on with it as well. But yeah, definitely want to read volume 3 of Heartstopper. So this concludes my July reading wrap up and my August TBR. I am so excited for the month of August. I feel like I'm in such a reading mood, and because I'm a mood reader, I definitely need a variety of books. So I feel like my August TBR is perfect to choose from. And July was such an unexpected reading month. Like throughout it, I thought I was having like an okay reading month, like not spectacular or anything, but reflecting on all the books I read, I'm like, oh my god. Like I read some amazing books and was introduced to like subgenres that are kind of out of my comfort zone, new authors, and I feel like that's just going to continue into August, which just makes me so excited. So please let me know if you read any of the books that are on my August TBR or that I read in July and like what you thought of them. I don't know, I just love talking about books. I'm literally just a girl. Okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one.